This one, though, it's one of the things that we maybe don't get into enough, and I'm looking forward to this. In terms of talking about the video game side of things, I will say flat out that I am probably touching up upon this, so we can use this as an excerpt from the show to put on my main channel, so I can just be like, hey, see, I talked about it. But EA NHL, NHL 22 is a week or two away at this point from dropping. I think the EA Play trial comes out in a week. We are very, very close to the launch of the new game. And of course, as is the case, they are releasing the ratings for the top players. They started off with goaltenders. And that is what we'll touch up upon now, right?
Oh, boy.
I want to talk about the top 10 as it is, right? Number 1 on the list was Andre Vasilevsky. I don't disagree.
No doubter, right there. Completely no doubt. He's your guy. You have him in any sort of game. You put like a bad team in front of him, he's got you. Like completely. It's chef's kiss.
Second on the list, Connor Hellebuck. I do not disagree.
You know what? No, he's definitely on that list for sure. He's definitely the number 2. I know this next one, you're definitely gonna be like, yeah, no.
Number 3, with a tie for third place with a 90 overall rating. Vasi's a 92, Hellebuck's a 91. Carrie Price and Marc-Andre Fleury at 3 and 4, both with 90 ratings. Matter of fact, Tuukka Rask is at number 5 with a 90 rating as well. We'll start off with Carrie Price. People should very much expect that, hey, when I get to the roster editing stuff like I do, Carrie Price won't be a 90 overall. But I feel like I'm more justified than ever in that decision, in that, of course, for those who do not know, the video game has added things called X Factors, which are either a minor boost or relatively major boost to a certain aspect of a player's game within the game. So I feel like there's a perfect way to have now Carrie Price be closer to a mid-80s player, but then give him those abilities that he can turn it on and stand on his head like we saw in the playoffs. There is, I feel like, an accurate way to represent playoff Price at this stage. If you want to argue he's still a top 10 goalie, sure. But when it comes down to, okay, there's arbitrary numbers, a rating that's assigned, it's a little bit tough to sit there and say Carrie Price at 3, alongside the reigning Vezina Trophy winner in Marc-Andre Fleury. And Tuukka Rask at 5. Tuukka's still fantastic. The controversy of this comes as right now he is a free agent, although it is expected he'll sign with the Bruins around January or February once he's healthy. But yeah, there are some ratings we'll talk about too in a second that have finally dropped. Carrie Price's rating has not dropped, and I'm not surprised given what has what happened in the aftermath of a Stanley Cup run, a finals run at least for the Habs this past summer.
Right. Oh, I agree completely. Like if there was no playoffs at all for him, I would definitely see them dropping his overall down a little bit. But I feel like the fact that he basically turned on the Jets and just helped carry that team, literally carry, to the basically a Stanley Cup run, and I think that's why he's up there and why he's at number 3. I personally wouldn't put him at number 3, maybe give him an 89, but I see why EA would probably do that.
You also have John Gibson at 6 with an 89 rating. I'd argue a little bit too high, but the debate with John Gibson has his numbers dropped because he's on a bad team, or has his numbers dropped in general? Jake Markstrom had an 88, number 7 on the list. Again, I don't know about that one.
Yeah.
Grubauer at 8 with an 87 rating. He's one of the 3 that we know of because he at 8, Varlamov at 9, and Robin Lehner at 10 all have 87s. It makes you wonder where Darcy Kemper is. It makes you especially wonder where UC Saros is.
Yeah, Short King UC Saros. That's my guy.
So, I don't know. The goalie ratings, I don't know if there's anything horrifically offensive to a nerd like myself that really likes to try to make the game as realistic as possible. There, I have seen some worse offenses in the past when it comes to goalie ratings, but obviously some adjustments will be made on that list. Endo, any thoughts on the goalies before we move on to the defensive list?
I don't know. As a goalie myself, I'm looking at this, the numbers and everything, and my personal biases. I would have loved to see where Saros was if they reached the top 20, because that way we can get a better range of who's the go-to guy you're gonna have this year for there. Because I want to see what they would do for Toronto with Jake Campbell and Peter Mrazek, because that's a 2 goalie tandem right there. But so far, right now, it's good. It looks better than what it's been in previous years. Numbers looking a little bit more fine and a little more balanced per se. Remember, years before, it would just be out of whack. You'd have Price at a 95, and he wouldn't make the playoffs or something like that, and it's ridiculous.
And then the list of top 10 defenders came out today before we started to record the show. Number 1 with a 92 is Victor Hedman. I can see why. Certainly, part of a back-to-back Stanley Cup champion. You look at certain aspects of Victor Hedman, maybe not. I'll just say it's not surprising for him to be number 1 on the list.
Definitely. I don't see why he wouldn't be. Back-to-back Cup champ, 18 mil over the cap. But we won't talk about that.
You have Roman Josi at 2 with the 90 rating. John Carlson at 3, also with the 90 rating. I still buy the Josi hype. John Carlson, I'm not entirely sure. Not saying either are necessarily bad, but I don't know. Top 3 for John Carlson I saw was rubbing some people the wrong way. You have Alex Petrangelo at 4 with an 89 rating. I can see that. And then you get into some interesting ones because Cale Makar and Dougie Hamilton are both at an 88, but so is Thomas Chabot. I like Thomas Chabot. Dougie Hamilton and Cale Makar, I would take over Thomas Chabot.
Right.
And then the most controversial part of this list, you get into 8, 9, and 10, all 87 rated. The reigning Norris winner, Adam Fox, Charlie McAvoy, and Zach Werenski. Yeah, I feel like it's the order of this that might be throwing people off just a little bit.
Oh man.
Yeah, there's some hot takes in there. And one of the top comments I saw on Reddit in response to this was, "Thank God users can edit the ratings." So, yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if Seth Jones is also an 87, but they left him off the list to avoid controversy.
Give him 2 X Factors. Fuck it.
Oh, God. Superstar X Factor Seth Jones. We'll talk. We talked about him in the last show. So there it is. Hey, we'll continue to talk about those. The forward list should be out by the time our next podcast rolls around on Tuesday. But yeah, a decent amount to talk about between last show and this one. A couple of interesting talking points that, hey, we might end up getting to go in depth with a little bit later on